1 to 2 million acre-feet of waters.
This summer marks 5 years since the Missouri River spilled its banks, taking a huge toll on homeowners and entire towns.
The Missouri River, often called Big Muddy, snakes its way for more than 2,300 miles across the continent, shaping the land and the communities that border its restless banks. For the people of the Great Plains, farmers, ranchers, explorers, and indigenous tribes, it is more than just a river. The Missouri is history and hope, power and peril, a force that ages with the land itself, yet can surprise even those who know it best. In recent memory, the region has witnessed dramatic swings in weather and water, but rarely has the river revealed such a startling, enigmatic sight as what just surfaced near its storied banks. As the summer storm season began in earnest, a formidable thunderhead barreled across South Dakota, tracing the familiar silhouette of the Platte Bridge and unleashing its fury on travelers and campers at the God's Country campground. Gale-force winds battered tents, rain hammered down with intensity, and the usually placid river surged higher, muddy and swift, carrying debris along as it reshaped its banks. But it was what appeared once the storm faded that left experts and residents alike in disbelief, a sight so unusual it set off ripples of concern far beyond the local community. What could possibly lie beneath the river's ever-shifting surface, hidden for ages, only to break free now? What secrets, possibly ancient, perhaps more modern, does the Missouri guard in its depths? As we explore this recent ordeal, we venture into the river's mysteries, question, and the collective unease that now echoes through towns along its course. Could this event alter our understanding of America's greatest waterway? Or is it merely a harbinger of more challenges the river will reveal? The storm, nature unleashed on the Missouri. On the eve of the discovery, a powerful storm system gathered momentum to the west. Weather in the plains is notoriously changeable. Temperatures can soar in the afternoon, only to plummet by nightfall, while lines of thunderstorms race over the landscape. But this particular storm, crossing the Platte Bridge over the wide Missouri, proved memorable for more than just its violence. Lightning cleaved the sky, and winds drove sheets of rain across the valley. The Missouri, already elevated by fluctuating rainfall in preceding weeks, pressed against its banks, heavy with the load of upstream runoff and debris. Campers along the riverbanks at the God's Country campground took shelter as tents were flattened and vehicles rocked in the wind, the tempest testing the resolve of everyone it encountered. The storm's path was felt all the way down the river valley, including near Sioux City, Iowa, where officials monitored the system's progress closely. The National Weather Service tracked the cell as it crossed the bridge and hammered the campground, its presence marked by fallen trees, waterlogged vehicles, and upended camping gear. Survivors exchanged stories of confusion, a rough rush of wind and water, cries for help, boat lines straining at their moorings, and the persistent roar of the storm. Eyewitnesses spoke of the strange, charged smell in the air, a sudden cooling as the supercell passed overhead, an unfamiliar groaning from boats as they rode the storm's waves. In nearby pastures, animals crowded together for shelter. Families along the floodplain watched weather broadcasts with bated breath, tracking the line of storms and hoping the river's rise would halt. Some roads became impassable, marked by fallen limbs and standing water. Several campers took refuge in cars parked above the flood line, waiting until the wind subsided. As quickly as the storm had arrived, it passed, leaving in its wake a landscape unsettled. Branches streaked across fields, campsites saturated and muddy, and the river running faster, stained with the earth it had scoured loose. At sunrise, As residents emerged to inspect the damage, a peculiar cluster of objects was noticed near the newly eroded shoreline, items that defied easy explanation. The discovery, what the river revealed. In the storm's aftermath, alert campers gathered at the river's edge to assess the ruins. It was then they noticed an odd shape bobbing in the shallows, a silhouette wedged into reeds and half hidden by debris. Initially, it was mistaken for yet another log, perhaps a victim of upstream erosion. But as daylight reinforced their view and the water shifted back from its flood crest, distinctive angles and glints of metal appeared, hinting at something more than driftwood. Local law enforcement and emergency responders were summoned, anticipating typical post-flood recovery work, removed hazards, uprooted trees, salvageable camping equipment. Yet within moments of their arrival, it became obvious that this was different. Divers from the county search and rescue team braved the tumultuous river flows to retrieve portions of the object. The gathering crowd watched as each fragment emerged, a tangled frame bearing incongruous hardware, sectional panels with faded labeling, and a sealed metallic box caked with silt, giving off a faint, unfamiliar odor. Speculation circulated quickly. Could this be remnants of navigation aids, lost equipment from a forgotten era, or perhaps leftovers from the region's long industrial history? Was it evidence of a boat lost in a previous flood, or something more consequential and dangerous? Word spread quickly through the small towns along the Missouri. The river had surrendered something both intriguing and perhaps hazardous. Authorities cordoned off the shoreline for investigation and public safety. Teams of engineers, hydrologists, and historians were called in. Rumors reached as far as state agencies. Hydrologic anomalies, unraveling the mystery of river flows. To understand how the river might unearth such a surprise, scientists focused on its intrinsic nature. The Missouri River is dynamic, its behavior shaped by precipitation, upstream snowmelt, and an intricate network of tributaries. Recent data for 2025 predicted the runoff in the Missouri River Basin above Sioux City, Iowa, at 20.2 million acre-feet, or about 79% of the historical average, a sign of continued variability in the watershed. Such patterns matter. Hydrologists noted that storms of sufficient force can disrupt riverbeds, scouring away built-up sediment and shifting large objects once held fast by mud and gravel. Prolonged fluctuations in flow, periods of drought followed by sudden, intense rainfall, can create instability, causing rivers to uncover fragments of both the natural and human landscapes. The Missouri's bed conceals centuries of history, layers of flood-driven sediment, the remnants of steamboats and piers. Even the byproducts of past mining and industry lie beneath its surface, shifted by shifting currents and occasional floods. While river mapping and periodic surveys offer glimpses of what lies beneath, surprises remain possible, especially during years marked by hydrologic extremes or rare storm. In this instance, the summer's powerful storm and the ongoing variability in Missouri River flows may have combined to uproot something held in place for years, if not longer. Such erosive events aren't unusual in the past. Floods have revealed ancient bones, petrified wood, and relics of early settlement. Still, experts stress the infrequency of modern engineered objects this size and character suddenly appearing in this way. Some recalled similar discoveries elsewhere along the river, sections of bridge lost to historical floods, fragments of outmoded machinery, or mining equipment long overlooked on obscure survey maps. Yet the particular construction and scale of this structure prompted further investigation, with possibilities ranging from the industrial to the uniquely local. What the Missouri can sweep away, it can also eventually restore. But as this event showed, when the river's flow intensifies or changes course, it may simply move the past from one place to another, sometimes with great force and with consequences for those who rely on its waters today. Rising questions, environmental and historical shadows. With the site isolated for study, scientists from multiple fields began a systematic analysis, environmental agencies collected samples from the object, the surrounding silt, and water at the discovery location to investigate whether contamination might pose a threat to fisheries, agriculture, or recreation downstream. Any remnants submerged for decades or longer may contain substances no longer considered safe today. Specialists checked for traces of hydrocarbons, heavy metals in river towns where water is essential for drinking, irrigation, and fishing. Even a remote potential for pollution is taken seriously. Authorities regularly screen for well-known river contaminants, but the sudden appearance of a large, aged object raised new questions. Could slow leaching pose longer-term risks? Were new contaminants introduced during the violent storm surge? Meanwhile, historians examined maps, official records, and community lore to identify potential origins for the object. The Missouri River Valley's industrial history. Local speculations ranged from missing navigation equipment to earlier, decommissioned infrastructure. Most experts agreed the Missouri's history is layered and sometimes forgotten. Some recalled notable wrecks of steamboats in the late 1800s, lost during floods, while others pointed to mid-20th century efforts to modernize navigation or reinforce shoreline. Alongside such practical items, the river is also known to reveal remnants from native cultures and pioneer settlement. Each time the river exposes something new, even mundane objects become reminders of the lives shaped by its flow. Yet, as far-reaching as the river's history may be, no obvious record matched the newly surfaced structure. This absence only deepened the sense of uncertainty, prompting renewed efforts to review archives and invite specialist opinions. Still, the scientific process is patient. Samples moved to laboratories, and engineering experts conducted careful measurements. While some residents voiced concerns about toxins or corrosive agents, initial reports suggested limited immediate impact. However, as a precaution, local authorities continued to monitor the water and urged residents to observe safety around the affected area. Standard protocol for any unexpected event following major storms. Expert panic, a race against the unknown. The arrival of outside experts brought a new urgency to the investigation. Agencies with oversight of water quality and riverine infrastructure, such as the Army Corps of Engineers and state environmental offices, quickly mobilized teams to the site. In the initial hours, conference calls and digital briefings ensured that all parties, local, state, and federal, shared the latest findings. Utilities downstream stepped up monitoring, concerned about the prospect of pollutants impacting water drawn for homes, crops, or industry. Environmental authorities drafted contingency plans for more frequent water quality sampling, just in case. The event was a reminder to river towns. Nature does not always telegraph its intentions. Hydrologists used available data and models to explore what further storm events might expose in this stretch of river. Fortunately, the 2025 runoff forecast, at 79% of average, suggested relatively less flood risk for the season, but experts cautioned that even average or below average years have produced surprises in the past. One unpredictable storm or an atypical release upstream could again stir the riverbed, bringing new objects or debris to light. With so much unknown about the object's origins, public health and safety remained a top priority. As a precaution, authorities published instructions for reporting any new debris, discoloration, or strange smells in water supplies. Emergency management teams rehearsed notification systems for chemical exposure alerts, urging residents not to panic, but to remain watchful. The lessons of past river events shaped the response, a blend of vigilance, transparency, and thoughtful adaptation. Locally, anxiety and curiosity grew side by side. Some residents viewed the event as a rare historical curiosity, a physical reminder of the region's deep connection to the river. Others worried that unexpected finds highlighted the limits of human control. Engineering cannot always anticipate or contain every force the river unleashes. For scientists involved in the investigation, the real panic lay not in the object itself, but in the persistent reminders of the complexity and power of river systems. Each discovery prompts new inquiries and renews focus on river safety, emergency planning, and environmental stewardship. Communities on edge, living with the river's mysteries. For people living along the Missouri River, uncertainty is not new. The river has long been both a source of sustenance and a potential source of danger, a fact woven into local culture and family stories. This latest event, however, stoked anxiety in new ways. The object that surfaced was more than a piece of history. It was a symbol of how quickly normalcy can be disrupted, even when the water appears calm. Neighbors speculated about origins, repercussions, and next steps. Parents kept children close to shore, while older residents traded stories about past floods and unexpected river finds. A painted barrel, an old wagon wheel, a skeleton of a forgotten ferry. Some saw the object as a challenge to the narrative of progress, a reminder that buried hazards or relics might always resurface with little warning. Meanwhile, the storm's memory lingered, the noise, the chaos, and the realization that in the space of a single night, the familiar landscape could shift. Farmers wondered about the long-term impact on crops and livestock. Recreational fishers watched closely for changes in fish populations or signs of water quality issues. School boards and community councils partnered with emergency managers to update disaster plans and review insurance options. Some advocated for increased investment in river monitoring technology, hoping to predict or limit future surprises. Still, most understood that no amount of science can eliminate risk. A river as vast and storied as the Missouri has always required both respect and adaptation. The community mood was a blend of resilience and realism. Residents and officials alike recognized that the river's unpredictability is not new. It is simply a reality made more visible by each new storm or discovery. The aftermath of the event prompted locals to check their own emergency preparedness, renew conversations about local infrastructure, and support the ongoing work of scientists and responders. What lies beneath the legacy of a restless river? In the weeks that followed, as riverside towns cleaned up from the storm and labs worked quietly on their samples, the sense of uncertainty persisted, but was gradually tempered by collective memory and practical wisdom. Each flood, drought, or strange find is a reminder that while humans have shaped the river, it shapes in return. The 2025 runoff forecast, with its promise of a moderate water year, provided some solace to residents wary of further upheaval. Nevertheless, the Missouri's yearly cycles remain unpredictable, driven by weather patterns and environmental changes far outside any one community's control. The object itself has become an emblem, a silent testament to the river's power as both creator and destroyer, and to the reality that the past can always return in unexpected ways. Whether it is identified as a piece of machinery, a section of lost infrastructure, or a relic of industrial history, its sudden reappearance is a cautionary tale about the relationship between people and water. Ongoing efforts to map the riverbed, review records, and adjust emergency plans all reflect a simple truth: the Missouri River is alive, and its history remains unfinished. Whatever lies buried beneath its waters, be it evidence of bygone enterprise, artifacts of ancient civilizations, or merely the forgotten leavings of previous generations, reminds us of the delicate balance between past, present, and future. For now, the discovery stands as both a challenge and an invitation to appreciate the river, honor its risks, and adapt wisely to its unending movement. What do you think the river will reveal next? Could these latest findings be just the beginning of a much larger mystery beneath the Missouri's powerful currents? Share your insights, family stories, or theories in the comments. We want to hear how this ever-changing river has influenced your world. If you enjoyed this exploration into the unknown, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our stories about America's most fascinating places and events. Stay tuned for more deep dives where history, nature, and science blend to remind us that even our most familiar landscapes can still surprise us. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep watching the water.